Well,
Blackmagic. They are coming out with new cameras more frequently than I change my underwear, probably. It is every single week almost. He's basically demoing the Autoframing technology in the new Sony A7C2. So that's like a new camera. Apparently uses AI to like track a subject. That looks really cool for a church environment.
let's talk about this mixer that has NDI video and audio capabilities. What? We got this PlayAudio 1U Iconnectivity device. Iconnectivity, I think, has kind of been the standard of sorts for hardware MIDI devices. Very, very reliable. And this thing looks like a beast. It's got it's got 12 XLR outputs on the back. This AC power jack, which is sweet. But feature-wise, it's just got a lot.
This is
the
like
main
for
thing,
a beast of a tracks rig. Like you're not messing around
right,
with this.
right, yeah. And so the MIDI side of it too, like it's like here it says, it can be your MIDI manager because you can do, yeah, like normal like old school USB. You've got USB-C on the front, 2 ports. You've got RTP, like you can do it over network. And I was reading earlier something about these controls, having some controls that you can MIDI map. Like basically if you're using Ableton, you hit Command M, you pick something, and you make that button, be your button for a specific number. Yeah, control foot switch, selectable inputs. So, I mean, tons of features obviously here, but I think this could be a really good solution for people that do want to have a really, really robust tracks rig and a really small footprint. I love the Loop Community product. It's got 8 outputs, I believe, but it doesn't do nearly as much MIDI as this does, and it's an all-in-one. So, have you guys looked into this much before this call that we're doing?
Not a whole lot, but I know I was excited when I first saw it, and I think shout out to From Studio to Stage, Will Doggett's channel. He's got a great in-depth video to walk through if you guys want to learn more about it. But yeah, to me, this is like for those folks who are running like full Ableton track sessions. Sure, you could still use it with playback app as well. Probably is a little bit overkill, but you can hook up. Essentially, you can hook up 2 different computers to this device, probably even more, but that where it says USB DAW there on the front of it, you can have like a primary tracks rig and even like a redundant rig. If the first one fails, you can switch to the second one and have the backup. Again, these are things that I don't think are super common and needed in a lot of church environments, but it's excited to see just another option that's like even more robust than what the tracks rig would be, but you'll definitely pay for it, right? It's like $1,100, I think, or 12, yeah, close to about $1,200.
You still get Ableton Lite when you buy it. Is that what that says?
I don't know. Was that a thing?
Ableton Live Lite. Yep.
Nice.
They ship it with a DAW, get you in the ecosystem.
Yep.
Yeah, because what's the limitations of the previous iConnectivity device? Like, aren't they just like they're not rack mountable? They don't have as many outputs. Right. They don't have a LED screen on the front, but obviously not as much I/O. But I mean, the other devices that we've used in the past, they're basically just small audio interfaces, right? But for MIDI.
Yep.
And this one has, I believe, 1/4-inch outputs on it. So it's got 10 1/4-inch outputs on it. This is, I believe, the predecessor to that PlayAudio 12. But it still has MIDI. It says scene A and B, I believe. Yeah, you can still connect 2 computers to it, have your audio outputs, probably TRS connections on it. So this is still a great option, $700. If you want more than the Loop Community device, if you need 10 outputs and you want to have MIDI and have it all in one device and have the failback system. So
Yep.
Still a good
But
option.
it's like the Rolls Royce of audio MIDI interface, really. And I think we'll end up seeing these probably in tech tours when we go visit some larger churches that have like a dedicated maybe keyboardist who's the MD and running tracks, and they really want to have lots of outputs available. This will just kind of help consolidate a lot of tech for folks in that situation. So good job, Iconnectivity.
Love it. What's next?
Blackmagic. They are coming out with new cameras more frequently than I change my underwear, probably. It is every single week almost. I at least change my underwear every few days. But to be fair, no, just kidding. Hopefully more than that. I don't know these days. That's the problem with working from home is like I don't really ever go anywhere. So I don't always, until I like start smelling weird, then I'm like, oh, I should probably put some fresh clothes on. Anyhow, this cinema camera 6K, so full frame from Blackmagic. That is cool because previously the 6K was only Super 35. So just I'm guessing it's going to look great with depth of field, better performance in low light. Look at that big old large format cinema sensor. I won't be surprised if we start seeing these more in some of the cinematic live stream setups. And let's see if we can get a price on this guy at maybe B&H Photo. Blackmagic 6K. I think it was probably, that's around 2K. Oh, whoa. Gee whiz. Is this the... Okay, no, that's the Super 35 one. Right. That's the full frame right here.
Yeah, that's a full frame one, so $2,595.
So 2,500, which, man, for that's a pretty reasonable price there. Yeah, I won't be surprised if we start seeing these in some broadcast cinema environments, kind of like the poor man's red Komodo almost.
Right.
You know, you definitely get a lot of camera for your dollar. And let's see, do they have okay, so
still just HDMI, right?
Coming out? Yeah, looks like it on the side. And then I'm looking at the different lens options here. Does it just come with the L mount, and then you have to get an adapter?
Yeah,
EF to L mount converter.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. For all those people using
at least they made a converter. I mean, you know, at least we're not waiting on a piece. I mean, I don't know. I feel like E mount and F mount are probably the more popular ones in churches, but at least they created a converter with the launch so that you're not waiting around for a necessary piece of equipment to use your camera and your glass you might have. Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited about that. Again, I would then kind of compare that with like well, we're using the Sony A7 S3 still. That's kind of about within this price range. Still, I think like a bit more dominant camera for creative cinematic projects. This one, you know, the thing about the 6K, I don't think we have in-body image stabilization. That's something that Blackmagic cameras usually don't have. I feel like that would have been highlighted here under the features if they had it. So again, that's one thing I think about as a videographer. It's like, okay, it's got the full frame. It's got, you know, decent lens support. It's got all the Blackmagic codecs. Not to say you're not going to make a great image out of it, but there's some other features that I would definitely still want in a cinema-like camera.
Yeah. Can you pull up the Micro Studio? Also, I think it's worth showing those guys too, because I want to see what the price is. And these little QB guys, they're so fun. But I feel like these for a, you know, maybe I don't know.
This is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
I like
super unique.
Yep. So we've got it's 4K, micro four thirds sensor, which is great. All sorts of great lenses. Looks like you can get the lenses that have the little servo control in them. Looks like you can get the compatibility with probably zooming in if you need to remotely with like a Blackmagic switcher. I know there's it's kind of limited some of the compatibility here between the lenses and switcher, but this is cool. This could be cool to have, especially if you just want some little POV cameras around your stage.
And the keys cam, drums cam, all those things. I even think, I mean, with the right lens on here, I know it's a micro four thirds, so it's not ideal for your main cam, but if you were in a small enough room, and I mean, the complaint all the time is that, you know, tripods take up so much room, or these camera infrastructures take up so much room. So the fact there's this little 4K like box, you know, it reminds me of a really, really tiny Red too, you know, just a square that sits on, you could mount it to whatever you needed and probably get really creative with where you place it. But I think these things are sweet.
Yep. Totally worth looking into if you're speccing out a live stream setup with Blackmagic cameras. And again, that sensor size, micro four thirds, is about as small as I would prefer for a sensor size in a church live stream environment. And that's what, you know, like right here, it says cinematic images and live production. It's kind of like what this is all about, right? Let's see here. So you're using the same, you get 13 stops at dynamic range, which again, for church environment, having more stops at dynamic range, the blacks or darker shadows of the image will have more detail. The highlights will have more detail. So in a church setup, that's really helpful. And it's just insane, the amount of dynamic range that's getting packed into these cameras. Okay, this is what I want, guys. Okay, I don't know if it's too much to ask, but Blackmagic, can you please disrupt the entire church market for cameras by putting this in a PTZ like chassis and like charge us like maybe another $1,000 and like literally have like this little camera on, and maybe this is the lens. This is a 14-42, probably a little bit wider than we would want. But imagine having like these guys as PTZ cameras. That would be cool.
And I'm assuming, like, and it's just, I'm not in, you know, software design, but I'm assuming because of all the functionality that's already built into the Blackmagic switchers, when you can control certain aspects of the camera, if it's, you know, if it's a Blackmagic camera, you can control color and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming that you could control like position. How hard would it be to add, you know, position, pan, tilt, zoom into it if there was that functionality right from your switcher, right from your software control, right? It wouldn't be, hopefully you wouldn't have to get a whole nother control surface. So it could be really cool.
Agreed.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, because all that like pan, tilt, zoom movement, like there's tons of open source stuff. Like if you're using Wirecast or vMix, like those are, you can control your cameras from that software that's also doing your video switching. So we know it's possible.
Oh, and it does have it has a full size HDMI connector on it. So let's get a closer look here at the body, because if you want to have, does it not show me that side of the camera? Apparently it doesn't.
But it looks like they're all the same picture.
But it's like that's one question I had, is like, can I just like throw can I just throw a monitor on there to control it locally at the camera?
That'd be cool.
I believe you can. Yeah, it's got HDMI output here, so it's just not showing us in the image. Before we continue on with the video, a quick word from our sponsor, the Worship Ministry School Accelerator Program. You may not know this, but in addition to all the YouTube content we're creating here at Churchfront, we also partner with local church worship and production ministries to help them hit their ministry goals. Over the past 4 years, we've worked personally with hundreds of worship ministries around the globe. We've helped churches navigate upgrading their worship tech, building better systems to grow their team of volunteers, as well as address any knowledge or skill gaps required for modern day worship ministry. When you join the Accelerator program, you get access to our entire library of online, on-demand courses, and you get unlimited access to our team of Churchfront coaches. To learn more about joining the program, click the link below this video to apply and schedule your free strategy session today. Now let's get back to the video. Let me show you guys something cool. So also in camera news, I was scrolling the Church Sound and Media Tech's Facebook group yesterday, and this video was there. This guy, he's basically demoing the Autoframing technology in the new Sony A7C2. So that's like a new camera. Apparently uses AI to like track a subject. That looks really cool for a church environment. I'm assuming it's like just using the full sensor, and it's probably just cropping in on whatever the subject is you're trying to track. But man, that is really cool for a church environment. So if I were to go look up the Sony A7.
It was pretty smooth too. I expected that to be really glitchy and kind of stuttery, but that is so. I mean, even when he dropped down to the floor, it kind of moved as if it was a manned camera, which is crazy.
Yep. So very interesting. I just wanted everybody to be aware of this. Look into it yourself. I didn't do any homework on it other than looking at this post, and I'm like, man, that is cool. So shout out to Timothy for sharing that and catching our attention there in the Facebook group.
Yeah, it's just a full frame camera though, right? It's nothing special. It's just a Sony cam with like you put a lens on it. It's okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep.
That is fire.
Yeah, it's like a more compact version of our the Sonys that we use.
Nice.
Another cool thing I wanted to point out is our friends at Sunday Sounds. Now they have song-specific patches for your keys. The Sunday Keys app actually built in to the app. So this is a new thing. It's awesome. So now it's like, the app itself, it's been out for almost 2 years now, I think, or a year and a half. They've done a lot of great work, creating this iPad app, which instantly gets you these amazing sounds for keys. You guys can check out the video on the YouTube channel to learn more. But what's cool, so now you can actually access the song-specific patches they've been creating and have been creating for a long time within the app itself, because apparently that's just something, there's a newer feature they just rolled out. Before, I know the way we use the app at South Fellowship, we just kind of use some of the built-in presets, templates, we kind of program our own set list. But this is cool because they put a lot of work into these song-specific patches. That's going to be really helpful to just be able to give your keyboard. It's like, hey, here's the exact patch that's being used from Elevation, Hillsong, whoever it is for this specific song. So that's a really cool update to the Sunday Keys app.
And so little friction to get the sound that you want. I mean, if you're able to just get the patch right from the app, I mean, your keyboard player can literally tap the iPad a couple times on Sunday morning and be right where they want to be sound wise. They don't have to like download a file or anything like that. So this is such a smooth addition to the ecosystem. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys were ever in charge of key patch tones, but I'm thinking back to the days when we had a Nord and it was like, we're doing this Young and Free song and we got to have this really thick synth and I've got to figure out how to sound design it from the Nord interface. Oh my gosh, so much time.
Yeah, no thanks.
So to transition us from video to audio, let's talk about this mixer that has NDI video and audio capabilities.
What?
I found this from this YouTube video, so this is a pretty cool overview of it, which I think this guy is a gamer. But he uses it in a pretty cool way, and he does a good overview of it. But it's from Mackie. We don't hear a ton from Mackie. Like I just looked at their mixers the other day, and it's like they're not doing a lot of new stuff, but this thing is pretty cool. For a church environment, it's not a ton of channels. Maybe if your church has a podcast or something like that, this would be an awesome tool. Maybe for a broadcast booth, just for like looking at your multi-views and sending audio to different places. It would be a good use for that. But even if this specific mixer isn't something that you would use in your church, just the fact that the technology is being built this way is pretty exciting.
Yeah. I like how they have different modes for like, I'm a noob, I'm an amateur, I'm a pro. And you can like apparently must like limit how many different things you can configure on it depending on where you're at.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
I like what you said, and just the fact that it's possible on a mixer means that the technology is kind of catching up a little bit, and it'll be really cool. Man, if you were mixing on any other console and you could throw in an NDI source or send out via NDI, it would solve so many problems and streamline so many things. It kind of locks you into your console, but I mean, most consoles pretty stable, pretty, integral parts of your overall church tech infrastructure. So this could really be a sweet situation.
Yeah. And it's not, hear us out. It is not recommended to use Zoom as a part of your live streaming solution. But like here, this has mix minus with a smartphone, so you can add a caller without audible echo when they speak. like just even that technology is pretty slick.
Yep.
Or like the auto mix, you know, like we have our Churchfront Live coming up. Actually, this will probably be posted after the event. But you know, there's gonna be situations we're gonna have like a panel, 4 microphones pretty close to each other. You know, that might be a cool solution. But yeah, I'm a fan of the idea of this thing, this specific product for churches. If you're not doing a podcast, like it's not going to be your main mixer. But I think that this proves that exciting things are on the horizon.
Yep. Go watch the video. It's a cool
Yes.
run through of, and this guy's a good YouTuber. He creates some cool videos there.
Yep. Senpai Gaming. Check it out. Also, just shout out to him. I don't know if he's got it. Yeah, he's got it. Stream Beats, copyright free music. I checked out some of the tunes that he's made that you can use royalty free music for. It's pretty good stuff. I even just was like working to his like chill hip hop beats one day. So, if you want to have that as your vibe for your room when you're before you're going online,
that's sick.
Yep. So now, 2 other audio things pretty similar. We're familiar with Superrack, so let's start with that. So this is specifically the Superrack, the sound grid. So this isn't like Superrack, you know, using a computer on its own, but it has the offline mode. I think on our last show we had talked about how LV1 has the offline editor, which I know Luke is using right now to help one of our students and get their scene set up. So if we were helping Jonathan, you know, if we were back in December of last year, we could have been like, oh, let's like build a show file for your sound grid setup and bring that with us on a flash drive or on our computer and then plug it in and have it go. So that's pretty cool. One other thing that they added with this, it might sound minimal, but like adding colors to the channels.
Huge deal.
I remember when LV1 did not have that. We were using it at my church, and I was like, man, why are there not colors on these channels? So glad that that's part of this now.
We got to tell them, though, that their drums should be red. I mean, they obviously didn't get the memo, but
they didn't even keep their drums the same color.
Right. Noobs.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of Waves and that client, so we are going the route with them of doing the combo setup that Waves has. It is the LV1 64 channel with the Extreme server. Remember our last episode? That's when we were talking about, do we go with, sorry, I got a bunch of screen deals going on here. Do you guys, oh, by the way, do you like my nostalgic Mac background that I pulled up today? Okay.
Love it.
It's like it's 2009 again. So this is the setup we actually ended up going with them. So you guys will see a video of this soon as we get it installed. That'll be exciting. Really pumped about that. So you guys can, just keep an eye on the YouTube channel. And this is something where, hey, if you guys want Churchfront to sell you the gear, we can do that now, and we can obviously help you get it all installed, like what we're doing for this particular client. We're actually going to do an on-site visit, help them get it up and running. So Churchfront is a dealer for Waves equipment now. So just another reason to reach out at worshipministryschool.com, apply for our program, and just let us know, hey, I want to install the same solution. But I'm excited. We're getting all the details put together for this combo and getting it installed at their church.
I'll say this. I mean, I've worked on not every, but a lot of the major consoles out there recently, Allen Heath, Behringer, now Waves, and this is a really fun setup. Like, this has been really fun to design. Waves makes it pretty easy. Like, Waves kind of cuts out all the other stuff. So like the major thing that you're not going to get with a Wave system like this is expansion cards or IO expansion opportunity for other things. They make bridges because it's all software. And so you can buy a 1U rack bridge for things like Dante. I'm assuming things like Mackie as well. But because there's really no fluff, you are connecting things over a Cat5 network cable, Cat5e network cable. you've got your stage boxes going into network switches, and the Waves sound grid network is like, it's kind of like Dante. And so you have just so many options of where you can send your channels, and it's just been really easy. Like the offline editor is, I mean, a carbon copy of what the software looks like. And so I was really impressed when I was, messing with it, that you can actually get into your stage boxes and the different IO that you have and configure those in the offline editor so that you can even take some advanced steps there. So that I've just been really enjoying it. A big shout out to Waves for making a good product, and thanks for letting us be a part of it.
Maybe you should make a kind of a video walkthrough of how you're prepping that session, Luke, with the offline editor at your house, and talking about, because you could easily screen share kind of what you're talking about there, because that's going to be really great. I'm excited, that they're going this route. They're going to do in-ear monitors coming off the stage box here, and then like you said, similar to like if you were running Dante for their tracks rig, for example, you just install the Waves sound card app that functions as the audio interface. That's going to send audio straight to the server. Same thing for the front of house computers. They can send audio over Ethernet as well over Wave Sound Grid. So this is going to be a fun project. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real cool.
And if we're making requests of companies from this show, seems like we do that sometimes. If Waves had an affordable like 2 to 4 channel input or output device, that would be a game changer. Because with the Dante system, you can get a little Waves AVO 2-channel in or out, like $200. Like I don't know what you came up. I forget what we had said about doing their audio for their Boxcaster, but we kind of went back and forth on that.
What's it called? Using a catapult.
Yeah,
right? Having
catapult's pretty much the best option.
Which we have to use up some of the IO off of the smaller stage box, the front of house, and it'll still work great. Then we'll send audio over Ethernet to their broadcast booth, which is a little bit out of the way. At least that's one way. I mean, we probably think of other ways too. Because what if there's a computer up in their broadcast booth that we could actually just run the Waves sound card on and then input that broadcast mix into that computer and somehow embed it with their live stream, right? I don't know. I can't remember the specifics of their setup, but there are other options too.
Yeah. The thing to think about is always, what you're going into. And for us, we're, the DS Pro 1000 is going to be their front of house. So it's just a couple inputs and a couple outputs. And then we're going to send that up over network via the catapult upstairs, and then they're using a Boxcaster Pro, and so they've got an audio embedder that's actually taking analog signal from their old analog snake from an output and embedding it into an AJA embedder, and then that's feeding out SDI with audio and video together into their Boxcaster. So we'll end up still going into that embedder so that it all feeds in, and essentially the only thing that we'll be plugging into is the XLR. But I agree with Adam, if Waves, I mean, it's not rocket science here. If Waves created the same adapters that Dante has created for their network to get things onto the Waves SoundGrid network, like appropriately, safely, I mean, there's a great market for stuff like that, for little nuanced jobs like this, or when you want to get something onto the network and send audio. So,
hey, we will let them know because we've got contacts at Waves, so we can be like, hey guys, you should make this, and then hopefully they listen. But that's happened before. There's been times where it's like, hey, I wish this app or this has this feature, like make it, and then they do. Or even from a hardware standpoint, I've seen that happen as well. So never underestimate our opinions here on this little YouTube channel.
Let's go.
Everyone email Waves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, what's the next one that Adam had pulled up? VST?
Yeah, so this is Waves Superrack Yamaha edition. This is VST Rack from Yamaha. It allows you to add VST plugins, and it just integrates into the Yamaha consoles. They're advertising it with the DM7, DM3 being their latest mixers that they just released. But it's a hardware device that you operate and control from a computer. So it's very similar to Waves Superrack sound grid. Like you have to have a hardware piece of equipment that does all the CPU. Same here. You get a device that you can run all of the actual processing on, and then you control it from a computer and plug it into your system with whatever Yamaha console you have. The plugins that they had, this is just a short example of, multiband compressors, dynamic EQ, delay. What else we got here? Some this looks like what is that, like an API or some kind of compressor there.
I didn't even know that Yamaha made plugins until you sent us this link. Like, that's such a new thing for me to say, but like, I didn't even know that they were in. Of course, they're in the plugin market. They're also in the ATV market and the dirt bike market and the grand piano market. But like, I've never heard anybody raving about Yamaha plugins.
Wave Runner. They make Wave Runners too. So yeah, these are just all Yamaha plugins, right? There's not third-party plugins yet.
So Steinberg, which I think is part of the Yamaha thing. So they've got delays, distortions, like a de-esser, that'd be super handy. Reverb, and then Yamaha has this giant list of 12 or 8 right here. So a compressor, 3 EQs, one of them's dynamic, and then 1 reverb. If you're already in the Yamaha system, but like, look at this. It's like literally...
It is Waves.
It's Waves. It's Waves Superrack. It's like, it's got the rack slots. It's got the input and the output. I think A and B, potentially. Input switching. So, but yeah, it comes with the hardware thing, and they have this bypass button. So if you get into a situation, that's right now, like, I'm using Waves on my laptop, just my 8 gigabyte M1 MacBook Air, to run 16 channels of, vocal EQ, vocal pitch correction, dynamic EQ, some drums stuff at my church, and it works great. I've never had to bypass it, but if for some reason my computer died or something went wrong, I'd have to go to each individual channel, and I'd have to stop the insert. Like, I have to turn the insert off, otherwise audio won't pass. So that's kind of a pretty cool built-in feature that they put in there.
That's nice. That's another video idea, Adam. You should make a video about your Superrack setup on your tiny little MacBook Air.
Yeah, I ran it at 32 buffer size the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
No issues.
Impressive.
I think because the M1 chips are supposed to run more efficiently at lower buffer speeds.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Cool.
Huh.
Yeah.
So for all you guys specking out a big, nice, spendy Mac for your Wave system, try MacBook Air.
Stop it. We'll just tell you, stop it. Stop overspending for your Macs.
Yep. Well, yeah, last but not least, I wanted to cover just a brief mention for all you wingers out there. There is a
wingers. That's what we're gonna call them now. I'm a winger.
We're gonna start a club. # t-shirts, the whole gamut. There is a pretty decent update for firmware. It's 2.0 out now, so you can download it from the Wing page on Behringer's website. And the biggest thing that I saw in this release is it really comes down to show file management and scenes and presets. So not a huge mixing update or like user experience update by any stretch of the imagination, but the thing that they kind of rolled out is a better experience for when you're trying to save a snapshot or an effects preset or a channel preset. And so they give you nice windows now in the library window to kind of walk through where you want to store that, whether it's internal on the console, on the USB, or in an actual show file there. And the one thing I love about it that I won't rave too much about this, but they let you essentially build as many folders as you want. And so having a folder infrastructure in your kind of presets and library in your console, I think is really helpful for managing stuff like this. I still don't super understand why Allen and Heath doesn't have folders in their library manager, but that's another topic for another day. So it's a pretty minor update. I think there's a couple other tweaks that they made, but like this is the big kind of showcase or update for them, which should have been on their first release, but now it's here. So you can save, Sheila's voice preset if you want to, and that nice flanger you've been wanting to save and make sure you recall every week. You can save that too now.
Luke, yep. I see in your notes, the Live Sessions app convert recorded files on the X Live card into multi-tracks for DAW instead of one file. And then it says lots of confused people on the internet.
Yeah, so I want the comment section to blow up about this, because I read some comments on YouTube and on the internet, and essentially Behringer pushed this Live Sessions app. Adam and I saw this maybe a couple weeks ago. We were just on a Slack coaching call, and we saw this Live Sessions app, but there is no documentation for it. There's no instructions. Like, it's just kind of a pretty blank canvas app, but apparently you're supposed to be able to load in the recordings that you take onto your SD card on the X Live card that comes with the Wing, and put it in this app, and it will expand all of your multi-tracks from essentially one WAV file into a bunch of multi-tracks, which I thought was already the way that it worked, but apparently they need an app to do these things. So I'm curious. There's a ton of people on the internet who are just like, how do you use this thing? What is this?
And then I'm trying to see if there's any comments. Yeah, just funny. It's like, so, but apparently it's compatible with Wing and the X32, because both of them have that live card that you can get option for it as well. So that's pretty cool. Could really streamline your
is it like
virtual sound check.
Is it a DAW, or is it just to like route things easier? Because it says convert audio files into Live Sessions. So I'm just wondering, like, what is that user experience that people that they're speaking to? I'm a little confused by it, but
so if you have an SD card and you have a .live, I don't know what they call it, a multi-track recording that's a live file, and then you pull it onto your computer, you're able to pull every audio file off of it. Or if you have a multi-track that you recorded somewhere else and you want to be able to play it back through your console, I don't think it's a DAW.
Like.
I feel like people should just use the USB interface and just
I don't think we've ever been like, I think I've always like, with that card option, I would rather have like a Waves card or a Dante card. I personally, the SD card thing, that I'm not a huge, I don't think for churches that I think there's other more useful things to use that for.
Yeah.
Even just USB, like you said.
Yep.
Cool. But on the Wing, at least you have more options. The Wing, you do have USB plus that expansion card, which could be this card or Dante or Waves or something else. So I want to encourage you guys to go check out worshipministryschool.com. We'd love to help you out. Adam and Luke have been doing lots of site visits, helping out churches. So that's been a lot of fun. We also do things remotely too. So even if we don't come out on site, we can help you guys virtually. We've actually, by the time you're watching this, Churchfront Live already happened. So hopefully
we had so much fun, didn't we?
It was such an awesome time.
Yeah, such a great time.
It was amazing. You really missed out. Make sure you check that out for next year. But yeah, that's all we have for you guys today. Thanks for tuning into the Churchfront show. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.